Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to talk about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be talking about the movie that kicks off the 2024 summer movie season, The Fall Guy. All right, let's start off with some news. There is a new Lord of the Rings film on the horizon. No, it is not War of the Rohirrim, which is supposed to come later this year. It is a new live action question mark because it's going to be all about Gollum. The hunt for Gollum. Andy Serkis is coming back, not just to do performance capture, but to direct this
Epic.
film.
That's so awesome. I love Andy Serkis. I was just rewatching Dawn of the Planet of the Apes the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good. One of
Yeah,
these days, someone needs to be nominated for an Oscar for doing a motion capture performance because some of them are coming out like bangers.
dude, he's trying to be the first to get there. I
He
mean,
should be. He's
really
earned it. After the, he's like
revolutionized it.
he's at the forefront of this technology.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah,
honestly should have been nominated for playing Caesar in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's incredible. Or War for the Planet of the Apes. He was great in both
mm-hmm.
of those movies.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, and he got that start playing Gollum. So this will be a nice full circle moment. More than 2 decades later, that's crazy.
Epic.
But yes, Lord of the Rings is going to be returning to theaters in 2026. That'll be when this film is slated to release.
Awesome.
In other news, Michelle Yeoh is to star in Blade Runner 2099, which is the TV series. And I still think they should have just waited 15, 20 some odd years and let the next sci-fi visionary director make a new sequel to Blade Runner. That would have been awesome. But now they're going for a TV series, which again makes no sense since both Blade Runners have flopped. So I don't know why financially they think a series is gonna do better, but
I think there's a bigger margin of error for streaming series.
is there though? I mean, we've rehashed this conversation many times, but it seems like it's just a black hole of money unless you can hit it big. But again, like talking about Lord of the Rings of Power, that costs an insane amount of money. And it never drove the conversation like The Last of Us did or Fallout, which is also on Prime. So Blade Runner 2099, I don't know that it'll really, break out in the way that they needed to, but I'm looking forward to it, of course. And Michelle Yeoh is amazing. So
Yes, she is.
it's great that they have, I mean, that at least will stay the same of having a true star leading a Blade Runner film. So very excited to see that.
Indeed. Speaking of true stars, Vin Diesel is going to shoot Riddick Furia later this year, continuing
Mm-hmm.
that Riddick series. I have never
You a
seen
fan?
any movies.
Not a fan. You've not seen any of them.
Nope.
I've seen bits and pieces, like caught on the
Mhm.
TV when my dad was watching. Very odd franchise, the way that it
Sure.
developed, and I guess he's come back to finish it off since his Fast and Furious family will have wrapped up their story. So now he's switching to his other major franchise. So that should also be, I think, I mean, it's filming later this year, 2025 or 2026. Another film
One
to
of
be
the two.
looking forward to in the next few years.
Yep. Let's do our box office breakdown for May 3rd to the 5th, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Coming in first place in its debut weekend, The Fall Guy with $27.7 million.
Not great.
Not great at all.
Not a big kickoff to the summer.
Nope.
So that's unfortunate. However, good news for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, with 8.7 million, because it was
That's
also
crazy.
May the 4th. So they brought it back in theaters to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Episode 1. And
8.7 million is big fucking numbers.
it is. That's
That's
crazy.
insane.
That goes to show how much the narrative on the prequels has changed because people went out to celebrate this film.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And coming after that in third was a movie that actually came out recently, Challengers, 7.5 million.
In fourth place in its debut, Taro with 6.5 million.
Then Godzilla Kong New Empire, 4.5 million.
Civil War, 3.5 million.
Unsung Hero, 3 million.
Kung Fu Panda 4, 2.5 million.
Abigail, 2.3 million.
And rounding out the top 10, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire with 1.8 million in its seventh weekend. Surely going to be its last time in the top 10, so it'll close out with around $109 million domestic.
Rest in peace. Our box office predictions for May 10th to the 12th. Speaking of Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is coming out this weekend with an all new cast that has nothing to do with the previous trilogy other than being made by the same studio. Whole new cast, whole new creative team, whole new direction. It's supposed to be like 300 years past the trilogy era. Very, very
Mm-hmm.
far in the future. Ryan, these eight movies do decently well at the box office. What do you think this one's gonna make? The fourth installment.
I think it'll get somewhere between 45 and 50 million.
You think it's going that big?
You think it's going lower? Wow.
I was gonna say 35 to 40.
Dang. That would
Not
be.
that not that these movies aren't great and don't make a lot of money. It's just I haven't seen a lot of buzz around it.
Mm, yeah, I think it'll do a little higher than you, I guess. It's not gonna, you know, come anywhere close to Dune or stuff like that we've seen earlier this year, but I think it'll be a solid hit. I mean, again, we're in the summer movie season. Schools are getting let out, so I think this one will pull good enough numbers. I don't think it'll be again another Fall Guy situation. If it got 35 million, because again, this also has to have a huge budget.
Yeah.
That would not be great for the future of the franchise. But we will see. We'll see how it turns out.
Indeed. Let's talk about our main topic for today. We are discussing the hit, or not so much of a hit, release that is leading us into the summer movie season, The Fall Guy, directed by David Leitch and starring Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Hannah Waddingham, Winston Duke, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Stephanie Sue.
Indeed. This one, of course, being a remake of a 1980s television show of the same name. So, not quite an original blockbuster, but certainly a different type of blockbuster than the superhero films, or at least a Disney film that has kicked off the summer movie season for the past like 10, 15 years plus at this point. So, going into it, this is the new first summer blockbuster that we got. Dylan, what were your initial impressions?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the stunts were very, very well done. I had a good time in the theaters. I was enjoying myself. I cared about the characters. I cared about the storyline. I just wish it had been pieced together a little better, and I wish it had been paced a little bit better. Because there were
Mhm.
times where sometimes it felt a little awkward taking beats in certain places in the editing, and like the stunts were done incredibly well, and it felt like it was put together really well in terms of the stunt work and the stunt scenes and all the action sequences. But in terms of the scenes in between, it felt like it was written really well for like the characters and the chemistry, but in terms of connecting the plot together to work with the love story, I don't think it quite interwove together, and I don't think they stuck the landing in terms of keeping me 100% engaged all the time.
Gotcha. Last week, we talked about Challengers
Hmm.
and how I really like that film, and you did not like it. This week, you enjoyed The Fall Guy, and I also really enjoyed it.
Let's
It
go.
was a lot of fun. I had a blast in the theater watching it. I think everything you said there of, I mean, the whole film is obviously an ode to the stunt actors, stunt
Hmm.
coordination, the unsung heroes of movie making, especially big blockbuster movie making. So I think on that front, clearly, like the passion, the love,
Yeah,
dedication that they
very
wanted to
successful.
highlight, they nailed that part
Absolutely.
100%. And then because you have Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, two phenomenal actors that are just so charismatic, incredible screen presence, and they have great chemistry together. The romance front of it as well, I thought it worked. Again, wasn't like an earth shattering thing, but they're just so likable
I think
and
it worked. Yeah.
they banter really well together. So I think that 100%, yeah, came across well. The like plot stuff of them trying to get together of like, okay, where's the next place that we need to go? Who's the next person we need to chase down? What piece of information are we looking at? What's the new MacGuffin? All of that again wasn't top notch, but
It
for a
wasn't
film
as
like this,
engaging as it could have been. Like the mystery wasn't
that's
as
true.
intriguing. I felt like the love story took so much of the centerfold of the story that all of that stuff involving him trying to find Tom Ryder, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and trying to solve that mystery became like a B story, which
Hmm.
is odd in the sense that that is where 80% of the action sequence are coming from is from that plot line. And this is a movie that's an ode to stunt actors. I would have liked to see that storyline pushed at least side by side with the love story so that they could both be A stories riding along each other. Because it could have been like a they tried to go for a Ryan Gosling is trying to balance solving this Tom Ryder mystery while also reconnecting with his past love and trying to get over his own issues all at the same time. They tried to
Hmm.
go for that and it works for the most part, but it just feels like the Tom Ryder mystery takes such a backseat. I think part of it is because Ryan Gosling's character is so uninterested in actually solving the mystery. He's very detached from it himself. He's
Yeah.
playing it up for laughs, which is funny in the moment, but when you think about it, it would be more engaging if he was trying to really solve it and trying to really if it was like a he had to solve this, there was no backing out, there is no I'm going to call the cops, there is no I'm running away from this. If he was fully thrust into this situation, then it would get to the point where he's having to choose between solving this mystery and trying to rekindle that love interest rather than it feels like he has to do one but really he wants to do the other one and he's probably just going to do the other one instead.
Yeah, and they have some moments like that, the karaoke scene in particular,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he had to go off and do some other stuff, which also, again, the stakes of that initially weren't that compelling to where he was like he had to take care of that, like walking the dog to the dog park until
Mhm.
they get kidnapped, and then it's like, okay, now we can see why he's being kept from what he really
Yeah,
wants to
they raised
do
the
and
stakes, which
being
is
with her at
good.
the karaoke. But yeah, initially I felt they could have done more to make it much more of a like true dilemma where he obviously wants to just reconnect with um, what is her name, Jody,
Yeah.
the director, but he can't because he's got all this other stuff going on. uh, yeah, I agree with you there. They could have
I wish it was more of a
leaned into
hassle
that.
for him to juggle because it feels like he juggles it fairly well for most of the movie.
Yeah, because again, there wasn't much. This was the other thing too, and we're getting full spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen it, go and see it and then come back. The thing, like the comparison that I was making was Hitchcock films, like
Hmm.
the North by Northwest, where you have your everyman that gets caught up in this crazy scheme and he can't return to his normal life until he has to like see through this whole adventure and
Yeah.
clear his name or get through whatever it
If he
is.
had been framed for murder at the beginning of the story,
Bingo.
that would have been more compelling.
Yes. Because there's a like sequence where he sees the dead guy. There's the whole like exchange with the cops, but then he just goes to set the next day and like literally has a work day. And then they're like bantering again, and then that's when they go to karaoke afterwards or something, I
Hmm.
believe.
Yeah.
I may be mixing up
Everything
like the
from
timeline,
when he
but
gets framed for murder, everything from then to the end of the movie is exhilarating and exciting. So you're
yeah,
right. I feel like if he had been framed for murder from the get go, it would have been like The Fugitive, which would have
yeah,
been awesome.
which they name drop in here. They have quite a few different like references to films, and they have that meta humor thing, which is nice. And so
I
I
didn't
think
kill
they
my
were,
wife.
I think they were leaning on that, like again, the silliness, the meta humor, so that people would just brush off the like mystery plot. Because yeah, again, ultimately, that's not you're here for that. There's like action scenes specifically, the romance part of it, the comedy part of it. So then that mystery part of it, they didn't put as much attention into.
But that's where
But
the intrigue is supposed to come from.
yeah,
That's
it
where the
would have
stakes
been
come from.
would have
That's
been
where
that
like that's like
lovely
the
cherry on top.
the yeah, exactly. It's a cherry on top. It would have made it it would have elevated it to something really phenomenal if they had really stuck that mystery aspect to it. Because I also think aside from the way they structured it, I wasn't compelled by the mystery itself. I didn't really care where Tom Ryder was because I didn't know anything about him. And then when we found out he was the mastermind behind it, or Hannah Waddingham was the mastermind behind it all, and he just is trying to get away with murder, it just felt like a stretch, kind of.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
he's this conniving evil man that's conspiring against the stuntmen who are stealing the limelight from him, which is objectively Like the point the movie is trying to get across is that stuntmen are not in the limelight. I guess the idea is that these actors are pushing people out.
Well, I thought that was a compelling thing that it didn't. I mean, they kind of got to it because it was the one thing that like pissed him off so much that made him do that stunt that got the one other guy killed.
Mhm.
Where it's like, oh, doing your own stunt as an actor is like such
That
a
was good, yeah.
celebrated thing, but the actual stuntmen get overlooked. So I thought that was a compelling piece of it, and I did like because I guess I don't know if the trailer or whatever, if I just misremembered it, but I thought the whole setup, the whole premise was going to be that um, people are trying to kill the actor, and so they go after the stuntman accidentally. I thought
That also
that's
would
what
have
the
been
plot was
cool,
going to
yeah.
be. So I was surprised when it was actually, oh, the stuntman, the like current stuntman, is the one that got killed, and that's being covered up by the actor who is now framing his former stuntman. I thought that was a pretty like just fresh take on the story
It
that went a
does,
different direction.
yeah. It feels like the whole time I'm watching something that seems like it has a plot hole in it, and then the twist happens at the end where it kind of answers those plot hole questions, and so I'm like, I get it. But for the majority of this movie, I've been sitting here thinking that there's a plot hole. Like I was like, why does the producer Hannah Waddingham have to call specifically Ryan Gosling to bring him here to look for Tom Hardy? Like, why is that the situation? And you
Mm,
find at the end, he's trying to frame him. So obviously they were bringing Ryan Gosling. Like that. That's answered. No doy. Like they answer the questions that I have, and it makes sense. I just wish it made more sense from the get go. Like there were less of a. It was less of a mental gap to bridge.
hmm
I wish that I was like, instead of going, it feels like it's poorly written in the beginning. I wish it was more like, oh, I wonder why this happened. Why did that happen? I should be asking more questions than not. And I feel like I wasn't asking questions with the mystery. I was just assuming that there was just a leap of logic being made for
Yeah,
the sake of moving the plot along.
right. Which ultimately, I mean, that is sort of what it is. Because I couldn't tell you why, like the dude with the leopard print bald head, like the leopard tattoos on his head, like why he sends him to the hotel, and there's like you ask for
The
the
fruit
fruit
plate.
platter, and that like gets you into the thing.
And then you think the fruit plate is a dead body, but then the dead body was just the one dead body, so it's not like a recurring thing. So what was the fruit plate?
Yeah.
Just drugs, I guess, maybe.
So again, and it's all like, well, that's all like you getting set up. So these fetch quests weren't actually meant to help him like find Aaron Taylor Johnson,
Yeah,
but
which makes sense. So the fruit plate was probably just code to send him to the room.
yeah,
So, like again, the plot holes get answered, but a
but
little too late.
yeah, it just would have been nice, like in the moment when we didn't know. Again, it's all of the
If
setup
you're just
that,
asking more questions than assuming that there were leap of logics being made.
yeah. But again, I do. So again, I wish more, time and attention would have been paid into that, the mystery plot.
Yeah.
But I did really appreciate how they spent so much time on the romance because there's
Oh
specific
yeah,
moments where
it
he's
worked
like
great.
he's in the room, like that room that he was sent to, and he just sits down, like stops investigating, like when he gets the call from her, and just they have this like
Mhm.
5 minute sequence completely unrelated to that mystery plot. So
Yeah, the
clearly,
romance lands 100%,
yeah, and they were investing more time into that,
which I
more of
respect.
the yeah
Because most
the
action movies you're watching and they'll have a romance subplot and there's just not really fleshed out. It's like you have the action hero, he does something heroic, the girl falls in love with him. But this one, it was very much fleshed out. The characters had their arcs, it made sense. And
mhm.
alternatively, it was the action mystery part of it that wasn't fleshed out. But you can do both. You can do
You can do
both.
both. In the perfect world, we would have gotten that one, but again, at least we got some solid, again, romance stuff here.
Which is a fresh take.
The bullhorn scene, like where they were
Great.
talking to each other,
At first, I
that
thought
was
it was
hilarious.
a little cringe. I was like, why is she airing this out in front of everybody?
Yeah,
But
not very realistic, but it's for the
they
bit.
both leaned into the bit so hard,
Yeah.
and he had to do the fire stunt over and over again. It worked for me. Like as it kept going on, I was like, this is working.
hmm
And then they the guy in the mask asks for the bullhorn to like weigh in on what he's talking about, and with the modulated voice, he's like, I went through this when I was fell in love with my wife's sister.
Yeah, that was good, dude. Him like emphatically nodding too when
It was
Ryan
really
Gosling was
funny.
asking this question. That was great. Yeah, I wish the voice modulation thing would have been Again, that's just like a sound design thing. It was slightly. They do it later too when Ryan Gosling's in the costume. It is like slightly hard to hear exactly what he's saying at first,
No, I thought it was clear. I
but
disagree with you.
and I just wish it would have been, I don't know, punched up a little more to have
Maybe it was your
a
theater.
bit more of the funny thing. No, I could hear again the first, like when he said the thing about the oh my wife's sister, like that made sense. It was Ryan Gosling's one later on that didn't quite work, but then also just the I don't know, like you could tell it's obviously the alien modulation thing, but
Mm.
I don't know, maybe it's because we've heard so much. You know that like Snapchat filter, the alien modulation thing. We've heard so many
Yeah,
of
yeah.
these like alien modulation things that I don't know. That one just didn't live up, I guess, to those. But
Hmm.
yeah, I thought that was really effective. Um, what were some of your favorite stunts in the film?
Let me think about. I really like the barrel roll in the beginning that they do with the car.
The
Yep,
record-breaking barrel roll. Yeah.
incredibly impressive. Very well shot and exciting too because he's like getting back into the fold of it and he's
Mhm.
very nervous and whatnot. I did not enjoy the drug induced fight scene. I was not a
Really
fan of that.
interesting. How come?
I don't think there was a big reason for him to be on drugs other than it would be funny, and I felt like it wasn't funny in that moment. It became funny later with the unicorn. I thought that was a good
The
bit.
unicorn. Yeah, it was a good gag.
The sticking to it was what was really funny. The idea that they had all these sets and they were just sticking a horse in it every single time is really
Mm,
good. I love the you're gonna see unicorns and he turns and he sees the unicorn in the street and then it cuts to him at the hotel and the unicorns are right behind him. He's a really good cut.
for
But the
sure.
actual drug induced fight scene itself, I couldn't really read it very well with all the little overlays they had, the color overlays over their bodies to make it
Yeah.
look drug induced. I couldn't really see what was happening.
I thought it was a good idea,
Bad execution.
and I liked part of the execution, but there were other like there was something. Yeah, it was definitely some VFX overlay thing as well, trying to
Hmm.
imitate like snow or something like that. Um, I thought that was a compelling thing, and like each hit, you would see like that impact reverberate, and yeah, you would have like the lines, overlaying each of them. I thought that was a good idea, but part of the time, yeah, the it didn't quite have that exact impact that you would have wanted. In particular, like the last hit is him kicking someone into a pool, and then
Hmm.
nothing happens in the pool. Like none of that water splashing up has any of the overlay effect on there. And I thought that was like a missed opportunity. So I thought it was a creative like action sequence to just be like, okay, we're gonna add something to it. They're not gonna go like flashier as far as the choreography, but him being drug induced, we're gonna go flashier with the visuals and how the punches and the kicks and all those are landing on each of the component or like
Hmm.
opponents.
Yeah.
I thought that was again a nice idea. So that one did interest me visually, even though yeah, I agree it wasn't executed in the most perfect way.
Yeah.
The stunt where he was in something, some kind of like wagon or whatever, being dragged through the street, it was being cross-cut with the karaoke stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was not great. As impressive as
Yeah.
like that actual
I liked
sequence
the
was.
concept going into it because it felt very Indiana Jonesy, like they're fighting on this vehicle, plowing through the streets,
Mhm.
trying to move along in like he's trying to advance through to get to the front to save Stephanie Sue. Like I like the concept in theory, but it just felt so far fetched in terms of plausibility that it
Yeah.
fell off for me a bit. Like he's skating along it while also holding on to the sign that's holding on to the, like it was a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. That and the cross-cutting there with the karaoke stuff, I just don't it didn't work
It
for me.
didn't
It
feel
was
tense. There was no
yeah,
it
the
was intense for me.
the tension was not there, and then the momentum was continuously getting cut as we
Hmm.
go back and forth between like the karaoke thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was again seeing the behind the scenes footage. I'm like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It
yeah,
looks great
in,
behind the scenes, but when they blew it up on the big screen and added all the special effects and whatnot, it felt a little bit of a stretch. If it had just been a more straightforward, he's just trying to advance along this very long truck and there are multiple obstacles in his way, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more. But I think they added too much to try and raise the stakes and make it new and fresh. and I
Hmm.
just don't think it stuck the landing.
Yeah, it felt a little flat.
Yeah, the gunfight in Tom Ryder's apartment, I thought it was solid. I thought the bits between him and Winston Duke were working. I just every time I see like heroes and they're just in a close quarters gunfight, I can't help but compare it to John Wick.
Yeah.
And John Wick just does it 10 times better. Always will. Like it's just hard not to make that comparison. It was
Yeah.
also just a very short scene to really point out anything that I thought was stunning. I like the drop where he and the other guy fall off the second story and he lands on the cushions and the other guy lands on the ground. I think that was solid.
It was good. The bit they had with the blanks as well, where
That was also
he like
good. Yeah,
pretends to get shot and then just gets up and runs up the stairs.
that was good. Yeah.
That was good. I also think it's funny. There's been multiple times, I forget the other movie, but recently where, anytime someone's doing an action thing and it's an action comedy, they'll reference some action movie. And they're like, oh, you're being Jason Bourne, or oh, let me do this Jason Bourne move instead of John Wick. And I always wonder why that is, because I feel like at the moment now,
It's
in like
John Wick.
colloquially, people, whenever someone does something cool action related, people would say, oh, John Wick, not Jason Bourne. So I wonder if that's because so many of the people doing current like action movies had worked on John Wick, and so they don't want to be like too, oh, patting myself on the back, look at me,
hmm
I made the new standard like action hero. But I just think it's funny. I'm always listening in to be like, okay, they reference Jason Bourne. When's the
hmm
John Wick reference coming? And they
Yeah.
don't do it. So I don't know.
The boat stuff I very much enjoyed.
Oh, that killed it. The boat
Thoroughly
stuff was
enjoyed all the
great.
boat stuff,
The boat
especially with the
jump.
music swelling. Yeah, with his hands behind his back was awesome. Hiding in the boat, even when he was just trying to be quiet, was great. The push running from the gunfire into the tank to watch it explode, awesome. And then everything from that point to the end, the stunts are incredible. Like that whole ending sequence is amazing.
Hmm. Yeah, I love me some explosions on
Oh,
screen,
it
and
was
that
full of them.
that boat explosion was amazing. Also, shout out to the lady that like sat in front of me. She clapped when Ryan Gosling got out of the water, and you see the like Sydney Opera House
And
behind him.
he's ripped.
Yeah, in that like tank top and it's dripping wet and everything. She
That's so
literally
funny.
clapped, and I was
Good
like,
for
nice.
her.
Yeah, she was having a good time. So yeah, that was great. The I will say later on, like the action where it was the stunt people fighting the, I don't know, I guess just the enemy gang,
Mm,
those hired killers.
yeah.
That part was one of those moments where I was a little unplugged from it. I think it was a little too long in that end. I know why they had to add that stuff on there, because you
Because like
couldn't just
some
have
people
them
unite.
succeed in like getting the confession of Taylor Johnson. You needed something else so that would go wrong, so then our heroes have more stakes. But I don't know. That to me felt like, okay, we're tacking some stuff on here to get that big, like, oh, everyone's involved and everyone's in the action now. But all that like helicopter stuff, particularly the fall.
Hmm
Shout out to that stunt guy that did that fall,
Yeah,
because
that
that was
shit's
incredible. That
crazy.
was one of the
Yeah.
best falls I've ever seen. My man was spinning, flipping around, doing everything. That
Oh
looked
yeah.
amazing.
Also, the jump they do is great too.
Oh
The
yeah,
car jump, fantastic.
that was amazing as well. So
I've thoroughly enjoyed
props. Yeah.
the third act climax. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mhm.
I thought it was good. Did you stick around for the after credits scene?
I did.
Dude, Aaron Taylor Johnson just explodes.
He
He
did.
dies,
He should have killed
and
that man.
they don't even include it in the main. The thing is, in the main movie, they fast forward to many months after that incident, and he's dead at that point. He explodes immediately.
Yet Metal Storm was not dedicated to him at all. They said, get him out of here.
Well, he's a
We got
murderer.
Jason Momoa. We don't need that guy.
Also, could you imagine the drama surrounding like finding out this the biggest action star in the world?
Hmm.
Who would be comparable to Tom Ryder in this world?
I mean, there's the obvious one,
There's
which
obviously we
I
could say Jason Momoa, yeah, but
well, not just Momoa. They reference him. I mean, Tom Cruise.
Tom
I
Cruise,
thought the
yeah.
writer thing was like literally a not Tom Cruise, but Tom Ryder. But they referenced Tom Cruise in the film, so I'm like, maybe not. Maybe
Dude,
not
could you
trying to push
imagine if it came out that Tom Cruise killed one of his stunt guys and then
that.
created an entire conspiracy to try and frame a different guy for it?
Yeah, that'd be insane. To be
And
fair,
then
he would
blew
have the
up on set.
infrastructure with the Scientology people. You never know.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's why he does his own stunts, so he doesn't have to hurt any stunt doubles.
Yeah, he is his
He doesn't
own
have to get
stunt
it
actor.
messed up with all that.
He doesn't share
Um,
the limelight. He is the limelight.
exactly. But yeah, that was a wild final moment. Obviously, it was cool to have the original stars of the TV series Fall Guy show up and make an appearance.
Yeah.
Um, the whole Metal Storm thing, what'd you think of that bit? I thought it was hilarious that they clearly ripped off Dune, like they had the
Yeah.
inspiration for that down to the down to that.
Ah!
That was
Dude, it
amazing.
was so, and it came up every single time it cut to like a film sequence. It was really good.
The shot that's clearly like imitating Zendaya walking through the desert when they had the princess doing it. That was
Yeah,
great.
the Dune bit's really funny. What I don't like is that girlfriend was clearly in on the plot to kill all of these people, very
Mhm.
obviously, and she got away scot free.
Yeah, she was the first one. She was the first like person he encountered. That was part of it. Sent him on that first goose chase to the
Yeah,
club
but
with the
she got
leopard
away
tattoo.
scot free. She's in the trailer with Jason Momoa.
Yeah, she's chilling.
She shouldn't be. She's
Yeah,
just as guilty. At least,
but
at least as guilty as Hannah Waddingham.
shout out to Alma Stephanie Sue for getting that producer credit. I saw that in that. That was a nice little thing they sneaked in there.
It was funny. Give me
Um,
Jason Momoa.
so
As if a PA could call somebody and say, "Give me Jason Momoa right now."
well, she was able to get there. Eh? She catapulted up to the top.
Yeah, she
She's
did.
producer on that film. Wait till Metal Storm 2 and 3 and 4 and all that.
Metal Storm Messiah.
Exactly. Where Momoa will definitely be back for that.
Jason Momoa shouldn't have been Duncan Idaho. He should have been. He should have been Paul.
You see, he's officially been a part of the Dune films. He was in Dune 1. Now he's in Metal Storm. So
Yeah.
he's staying in that franchise one way or another. Another thing I wanted to call out the filmmaker stuff, like early on when they had everyone on the beach going up to Jody talking about all this and that, the pyro. I thought that was a fun bit
Mm.
too. Um,
Just all the problem solving she has to
all the
do.
problems on, and then they had the assistant director who was there, like talking about all the time constraints. That was a funny moment too in the bullhorn scene when he was like talking about moving on when they were going through their thing. I was like, wow, she never moved on. I saw it with last night. I saw it with my assistant director for my film, and during those moments, we were laughing about it, and I was like, "This is too triggering. It's too real for what we're about to go through in the summer." Um, but yeah, shout out to all of that. It's funny too because this is obviously a film on a crazy, much bigger scale.
Oh yeah,
I think
millions of
literally
dollars.
like a 10,000 more, like 10,000 times the scale of what I'll be doing.
Mm.
But some things here or there are so similar and so accurate. Um, but yeah, that was fun. The movie references that Winston Duke was doing, I thought was a nice touch. I thought would be in it more. Again, he was in there for one in that fight scene
Mm. He's
in
there at
the
the end.
house, and then he comes back at the end when he's leading all the like stunt people. I thought he'd be a bigger part of it. That was the other thing too is they have Gosling on his own a lot. They have a
Yeah.
lot of Gosling and Emily Blunt on the phone or like FaceTime each other, or they do that split screen thing, um, which I really enjoyed that sequence too. I thought that
Yeah,
was
I liked how it worked out. It was another one of those things where I didn't like it at first. I thought it was a little cringe, but then the more they leaned into that bit, the more it worked.
right.
And like the symmetry of their images and whatnot, I think it was definitely
Exactly.
solid.
I love, yeah, that they talked about that like classic movie convention. And again, initially it's like, oh, it's an outdated thing and it's kind of gimmicky, it's goofy. But then
But
as they
oh, it
talk
kind of
through
worked.
it, they show like, no, it actually does have meaning because you see they're like doing the same exact gestures and movements. So it's like, man, they are destined to be together, but yet they have that divide right in the middle of the
Mhm.
screen. So
I love the dog that only speaks French, and then everybody that talks to it knows French. like fluently. Like they're everybody's giving him directions in French. It's really
Mm-hmm.
funny.
It was a nice little bit. Anything else that stuck out?
It was just a fun time. It was the most fun I've had in a theater in a while. Because let me tell you, Dune 2, a lot of things, but not fun.
That is true. Bit heavy. I'll tell you what, I loved. I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson in this, he was hamming it up. He was having a
He
lot
was
of fun.
great. He was great in this and Bullet Train. He's great in these
He
movies.
was, again, Bullet Train. It was a travesty what they did to his character in there. We need a spinoff or something.
Mm.
Him and oh come on,
Brian
Brian
Tyree Henry.
Tyree Henry. Thank you. Um, they had great chemistry in that.
Yeah,
Again,
they
we need
did.
a film of just them two. But yeah, so he was having a lot of fun, and the fact that they put in a McConaughey reference to the Lincoln commercials, you catch that?
A little bit.
I mean, he said, "I've been killing aliens long before I was paid to." That is amazing. Again, this is one of those things where, like with streaming and everything, with culture being so divided now, how many more references can we ever get to like commercials? Again, this was a commercial that came out almost 10 years ago now or something like that. And it's getting referenced in this thing. When is that going to happen again? Because no one watches TV anymore. No one sees the same commercials anymore. So
It was just such a big thing at the time because Matthew McConaughey had just won an Oscar. It
he
was at
was
the height
huge.
of
And
his
then
career. And
what
then
are
the
you going to do
next thing he
next,
did
McConaughey?
was, yeah,
I'm going
Lincoln
to do Lincoln
commercials.
commercials.
And then Jim Carrey parodied him on Saturday Night Live. Like, it was a big thing.
Yeah. Which, again, yeah, to get to that level where people are parodying commercials on SNL or things like that. Um, and then 10 years later, they get thrown into this thing. But I love that because that Lincoln commercial is burned in my brain. I've been driving Lincoln long before I was paid to drive one. He didn't do it to be cool, Dylan. He didn't do it to make a statement. He just liked it.
He did it because it's what he always did.
That's a big bowl. You remember that one? The one where that is so funny. Just a huge bowl in front of him. It's like, wow, it's a
That's
big
a big
bowl.
boy.
I can respect that. Like, okay. But anyway, that was amazing. I was hoping because a piece of me was like, no shot that they're gonna bring McConaughey in when they like, what actor are they gonna do to fill Tom Ryder's role? Momoa was a great choice because they did have that earlier on in the post-it note, so that was a good little
Mhm.
callback. Is it
Who is it,
Momoa or
Momoa or
Momoa?
Momoa?
Yeah. Um, and then I love the Dune connection too. Like, oh, let's get someone that was actually in Dune to be in this Dune ripoff. So I like that, but also love the McConaughey references in here. So yeah, any other final thoughts?
It's kind of like a turn your brain off, kind of enjoy it sort of action romance movie, and I think it worked on a lot of ways, and I had a good time.
I 100% agree. It's not
Great
asking you
stunts,
to
great stunts.
think too much. It's just get in, watch a nice romance unfold, some
Hmm.
great action unfold,
The
have
stunt team did
quite a few laughs.
fantastic.
Yeah, the stunt team, of course, were incredible. We need that stunt Oscars.
Yeah, honestly,
That's crazy. They brought it up in this film where they're like, "Oh, do you guys get Oscars?" And Ryan Gosling's like, "Nope, not at all," which is crazy because remember at the Oscars when they came out and they had their great little banter about Barbenheimer.
hmm
That was to introduce a montage of stunts to promote this film. I don't think we ever talked about on the Oscar show that we did the episode. I thought they were doing that so that they could announce the stunt Oscars, and they didn't. That was like the perfect time they could have done it.
yeah.
They come out, talk about how
At the
amazing it
very
is.
least, at the technical awards, they could have a stunt Oscar if they don't want to do it in the main ceremony.
Yeah, at the least do
Yeah,
that. But
they're going to include a casting award.
which I would love to know, because again, that's obviously a very critical part of the process. I'd love to know how they would judge that, because again, it's like so much. Same with like editing, is a lot of that you don't see the actual process. You're just seeing the end
Hmm.
result, so you don't know
Yeah,
all the dailies that they had. You don't know the crazy amount of hours of footage that were left behind.
and a lot of the
Um,
times, bigger names in movies is like They were picked by a studio or by the director
Yeah, they don't
themselves. Like,
audition. They just
yeah,
get called up and they're like, "Hey, can you do this?" So,
yeah.
yeah, that's a wrinkle to it as
It's
well.
just an
So I'd love
odd
to
thing to
know.
judge. But a stunt Oscar is so easy to judge. You watch them do it, and
Yeah.
they're just doing it.
Mhm.
Best stunts, or even like if you don't want to say the movie that had the best stunts. No, it would be that. It would be which movie had the best stunts because which movie has the best makeup. Which movie, yeah, it'd be which movie has the best stunts. Like that'd be a great thing, and then the stunt coordinator could like have the trophy.
Mhm. That's very true.
That'd be
I
great.
don't know why they're not, getting on that. So, we will see. More and more pressure will be coming. Again, the casting Oscar, at least, that has been announced, so it won't be it'll take a couple years. So that's why it's even more frustrating because we haven't even had the announcement that they're gonna start working on creating
Yeah,
that category. So, hopefully, sometime soon, they'll be able to do that, but we have Fall Guy, at least as the celebration. Um, so yeah, shout out to all the stunt actors out there, stunt coordinators, all the people putting their bodies on the line like that. Truly crazy work to be doing. That's insane. The people that can go in and achieve that stuff. Would you ever be a stunt person, Dylan? Stunt
yeah, I
double?
would. I think it'd be
You
fun.
would.
I would
Really?
do it. Yeah,
I would not do that. I could not handle the pain of that stuff. Dude, all the drops from crazy
hmm
high heights,
I
that
could do it.
like first shot, like that big oneer that leads up to him, Ryan
The way that
Gosling
Ryan
like getting
Gosling does in
held
the
off of
beginning,
there.
I would rather do that than falls off buildings or falls off like the helicopter. Because the idea that I'm in a harness and I'm attached, I'm much more confident than just free falling into a bag.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Even if the harness one is higher. Having a harness makes me much more comfortable and confident than just free falling.
That's fascinating. Because I would know at least, well, I mean, yeah, you're not getting held up by the harness, but you know, okay, there's a cushion there that should stop my fall. But if you're going free fall in that harness and it doesn't work, and then there's nothing to break your fall, I don't know. I feel like that.
I'm confident in the harness.
Well, it failed for Ryan Gosling this one. I actually don't know exactly what
It was tampered
what
with.
what was the reason. Yeah, they were like it was tampered. So
They
I
didn't
think
say why. He
he
said he
didn't fall
pushed a
out of it. I think it
button.
was just like
It didn't
it just
stop where it
went
was
down
supposed
too
to.
fast. Yeah, it just didn't ever hit the
And he
like stop
landed on his
button.
back and it broke his back. Gwen
Yeah,
Stacy did.
he sure did, but he survived and he was back on his feet like 12 months later, still doing those
I guess
stunts.
that means
So,
Ryan Gosling is better than Emma Stone.
wow,
Wow.
those two Oscars mean nothing. Emma Stone, or should we say Emily Stone?
Or should we say Emily broke her back in
Oh
Spider
my
Man Stone?
god. There we go. On that note, the random
Do you think
shots
she's gonna
fired at
start
Emma
going
Stone.
like? Do you think her credits are gonna start being Emily Stone on movies?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, your like brand is Emma Stone, so just keep it as a stage name. I mean, many people have stage names.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure all the people that know her still call her like actually call her Emily. So, but whatever she wants. I mean, if she wants to do that, go for it. But you know, I don't think it's weird to stick with
would you ever have
the
a stage name, Ryan?
stage name that you have. No,
You think Ryan Hill
Ryan Hill
is
is
solid?
it's good enough. Yeah, I mean, half of my friends call me Ryan Hill exclusively, so
That's
I'm
true.
used to
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's what happens when there's two Ryans in one friend group.
Yes, and only one is referred to by both names.
No, we call Ryan Goff Ryan Goff.
No, I think you do because you're more inclined to think probably me first when someone says Ryan, but I don't think that's the same for everyone, is it?
I don't know about
Exactly.
that. I can't speak for others. I can only speak for myself.
Well, there you go.
If
That's
you
my
choose
two
to
cents
speak
on
for
that.
others, then so be it.
That's my perspective. Well, I'm just speculating. Again, I can't be in anyone's head, but from what I've observed, what I've listened to, and what I've interpreted, those are my thoughts. So Ryan Hill is going to be it for me. What about you, Dylan M. Johnson? So you would add the initial in there, but
I think
that's
so, yeah.
okay.
I think
Well, that's the
Dylan
thing
Johnson's too simple.
because people
Dylan
like
Johnson sounds like a 12th grader.
oh,
Or like a 12-year-old. I mean, sounds like a little kid.
I don't know. I agree, but okay.
You think Dylan Johnson is solid?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? It's not like you're going by Timmy or something.
Timmy J.
I don't think Dylan Johnson is a thing that would be. I mean, Johnson, one of the most common last names, so that can't be it. And Dylan, again, that's not like a Timmy or like one of those nicknames that are like exclusively
For a
for
while,
little
I thought
kids.
about going as DM Johnson.
DM. Well, I don't know if you can do that in the age of like social media
I think
DMs
it'd be
and
kind of
stuff.
cool. Hit me up.
I guess that's the thing with like people like Christopher Nolan because they always go by Chris Nolan or like Martin Scorsese, Marty.
Hmm.
They always go for their full name for
Yeah.
the.
I listened to a podcast with Jonathan Nolan recently,
Mhm.
and he goes by Jonah all the time. And so the podcast, it was on Armchair Expert, and it was Jonah Nolan, and I was like, who the fuck is he? The third Nolan brother? What the fuck is this? And this
Mhm.
dude, it was Jonathan Nolan, and he said that when they made Memento, Christopher Nolan was hard set on using their full names, and he didn't tell because he'd been going by Jonah Nolan his whole life apparently. He just didn't
Mhm.
tell Jonathan Nolan that he was going to do that, and so they were watching the movie, and then the credits it's story and script by Jonathan Nolan, and he goes, "Oh, we were going full names on this. Okay, I suppose so." And so the rest of his career has just been as Jonathan Nolan, even though he goes by Jonah, and has
Dang,
everybody call him Jonah.
free Jonah Nolan.
Which is
He's
so like John or Johnny is kind of a like you could make that step from Jonathan, but Jonah is like if you go by Jonah, that's like a different name. Like you could call yourself Jonah Nolan on credits, and you're not really shortening anything. You're making a new name for yourself.
mhm.
Like I
That's
didn't even
very
think it was Jonathan Nolan. I thought it was a new Nolan brother.
Jonah is an odd. Was it spelled like Jonah?
Yep.
Fascinating. Don't know why they do that, but yeah, Jonah Nolan, Emily Stone. We gotta get people's real names out there, I guess.
Could you imagine if it
No.
was Thomas Hanks,
Stop. What is Tom Cruise? His like full name is an insane one. Let me look that
Stevie
up.
Spielberg?
Don't you dare. Does he go by Steve or Steven, do you
I
think?
think it's just Steven. It's got to be. Everybody calls him Steven or Mister Spielberg, if you
There
will.
you go.
You wouldn't go by like Rai Rai or something?
Thomas Cruise Mapother the Fourth.
Fuck that. His
I
last
don't
name
know.
is
That goes kind of
Mapother?
hard. I don't know how you say it. Mapother, Mapother. I'd assume it's
Mapapa.
Mapother. The fourth, not even. I mean, that's crazy.
It's a lot of Toms.
Yeah, it is a lot of times.
Tom Cruise is a solid choice. If I had that name, I would also go by Tom Cruise as my stage name.
That is very solid.
Cruz is a good middle name.
You think his middle name was always Cruz?
I think
That
so.
was the stage name that he now retconned. That's the crazy part when they like make their stage name their real name.
Like Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul did that.
Hmm.
I don't know
How
what his
about
real
the
last name is, but it's not Paul.
how about the connecting your last name like Aaron Johnson, right? Then became Aaron Taylor Johnson. We have that with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Um, although I think that's from his like parents, because that's the thing you never get. Your kids, if you get the like combined last names, what
Yeah.
are they gonna do? You can't have triple. You can't triple it up.
It can't just keep adding. Yeah. You'd
You
have to
can't
make
go
that. They
quadruple
would have to
after.
make that decision. I can't do that because my mother's maiden name is Bushy, so I'd be Dylan Bushy Johnson. So I can't do that.
That's crazy. They should have done that. That would have been
It would have been, yeah. You know when some people change, like when some women get married, they make their middle name their maiden name, and then they make
hilarious.
their last name. Yeah, she would have been Michelle Bushy Johnson, and she didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that was a good call on her part, I think.
What would you be? What's
Um,
your mom's maiden name?
uh, Metter.
Ryan Metterhill.
Yeah,
It kind of goes hard.
yeah, isn't that bad? Um, but yeah, that's the thing I always wonder when I see those like hyphenated last names. I'm like, how far is it gonna go? Or do you just get to the point? Because again, what's like the official, the one that you put on there? Because you could go forever, but at a certain point, you need to lock it down to just like one that you can put on your official documents.
Yeah, you definitely gotta pick one because if you go by stage name, if you're signing like Emma Stone probably signs everything as Emily Stone. She has to legally,
Hmm. But that
and that's
probably
got to be
helps.
frustrating.
Yeah, I think it can be, but it probably does help when you're. I don't know, again, your own circle of people, and you can be grounded by having a completely different name than what everyone else in the world knows you by.
Yeah, only the
Big
real friends call me
celebrity.
Emily.
Exactly. That's why only the real friends call you Dill Pickle.
Anybody call me that. You can call me Dill, but don't say Dill Pickle. I'm okay with Dill nowadays.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Why? No one calls you that, though. Does anyone call you Dill?
Yeah, I had a coworker who would call me Dill.
Interesting.
The way he would say it, though, I could tell he was saying DYL as in short for Dylan instead of Dill as in DILL, short for Dill Pickle. You can tell. I can tell.
Okay.
It's the way you say it for sure. Like, call me Dill.
I mean, how often are you around dill pickles that would become a point of confusion?
Dill pickles, almost never. Pickles in general, quite a bit. But I feel like the word dill has become synonymous with pickle.
Mm, I see.
Say dill. Call me dill. Let me say you say it.
Dill.
No, yeah, you said it right. Yeah,
Yeah. There
yeah.
you go.
It's got a little bit of a like a southern twang to it. Dill. It's
Come
not.
on,
It's
Dill.
not dill.
Yeah.
It's dill. You can tell that you're shortening something. You're not quite finishing what you're trying to say intentionally.
For
That's what it
sure.
is.
Yeah.
It's not like you're saying dill. You're saying dill. You get
Yeah.
it,
I think
right?
we've gotten to the bottom of it for sure.
Yeah.
So Dylan M.
So
Johnson and Ryan Hill. Those are our official stage names.
what if I went by Dill Johnson? Just DYL, Dill Johnson.
And that'd be a choice.
Would that
I
go
don't
hard or no?
I don't know about that. I mean, the spelling does help it go hard,
Yeah,
but when you
right. It's
hear it, it's like
ladies and gentlemen, Dill Johnson.
because you can't. I mean, Dill Johnson, Dill Pickle Johnson. You're just setting yourself up for
Yeah, Dill Dick Johnson.
yeah.
Dill Pickle has a Dick Bushy Johnson. Yeah,
Now, if you
yeah,
did that, Dill
yeah.
Bushy Johnson. Now we're talking.
That
How
goes
is that
hard. Yeah,
spelled? How is Bushy spelled?
Bushey.
E. Oh no.
Bushy. There's no C in there at all. A C would help, but no,
Let's see what
it's
hell.
Bushy.
Yeah. Well, on
What's
that
worse, Bushy Johnson or if it was Bush Johnson, like Bush, like George Bush?
note,
What's
Bushy
worse?
Johnson is a lot funnier.
Bushy Johnson sounds like an actual thing. Bush Johnson sounds like a porn star.
It does.
The name is Bush. Bush Johnson.
Yeah, well, that's the concern too. Dill Johnson,
Yeah,
you could fall into that trap as well.
I could. I could indeed. But I'm already fallen into the trap being Dylan Johnson.
Again, I think Dylan Johnson's fine. You're fine.
There's not a lot of famous Dylans, so I have that advantage. There's
That's
quite a
true.
few Ryans.
Hey, Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds. I'm in good company.
Yep. There's already a Ryan Johnson.
There is. So if
Our
we
name
were ever to
combined.
marry,
You could not take my name.
it would have to be Hill Johnson or Johnson Hill.
Whose name would come first, yours or mine?
It seems like a real place like Johnson Hill. So I think we'd have to avoid that because you don't want to get it confused with actual hills. You don't want them to think it's a place. So it'd have to be Hill Johnson.
Dylan Hill Johnson. Yeah, I think Hill Johnson sounds better. I think you're right.
Yeah.
So when we get married, I'll make
Bunker
sure to put
Hill.
that on the Bunker Hill. I'll make sure to put that on the certificate for
For
us
sure.
together, Ryan.
What a weird spelling though. Rian. Like what?
Yeah, that's bizarre. He went for it.
Gotta go with the Y. I mean, come on.
It's like the Dill version of Ryan, the DYL version of Ryan. He's just going for it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
You
all
could
right.
you could go by Rye Hill,
Yeah, I was talking with
like the
that.
bread.
There's a few other people on my film that are also called Ryan, and so we were like, how are we going to avoid this on set? Because his name, funny enough, is John Stin,
Oh
not
no,
Johnson, John Stin.
one of us is gonna have to change.
So I always thought that was hilarious that he was so close to being Ryan Johnson, which would have been unfortunate going into the film business.
Yeah, we're gonna have to kill him now.
No, he's
There can
good
only
because
be
he got that
one.
T. That
There
T
can only be
saved him.
one. There can only be one. That
But
T is flexible. That
yeah,
T goes in and out depending on who's
they're
saying it.
looking around at the different potential names. I mean, yeah, Rye is like a thing. He said some people used to call him Rye,
Yeah.
but
Well, Rye is gonna have to die.
whoa,
It can
don't
only
say
be
that.
one.
No, there can be
Anyway,
many, but only one way to refer to them. So we'll figure that out. But hey, I'm
hey,
happy with the name. I think your name again. you've been going by Dylan M. Johnson for the longest time, so
That's true. It's pretty much a mainstay.
it's locked in. So I think, yeah, you're
Well,
good.
I've never actually done anything artistic with a name so far, so I still have time to change if I so
I'm
choose.
surprised you don't announce yourself on the podcast as Dylan M. Johnson.
I don't like saying it out loud. I like how it looks in writing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like I think it looks good.
Who's a director or actor that has an initial in their name?
Samuel L. Jackson,
That's true. Yeah.
M.
And
Night
people
Shyamalan.
always say that M. Night. Yeah. Well, that's like the first name, which is an odd way to go about it. But yeah, middle name, middle initials. Samuel L. Jackson. That's good company.
Mm-hmm. Let me Google it. Let's see. Middle initial actors.
Because there's a lot of like the
This is
three
not helping.
names: Millie Bobby Brown, Brian Tyree Henry. That's
David S.
been
Goyer was number 2 after Samuel L. Jackson. David S. Goyer, the writer. David F. Sandberg. David O. Russell. They're just listing Davids.
yeah, and also
Michael
Russell.
Jordan.
Well, I guess maybe he was in
Michael
the.
J. Fox. Sterling K. Brown,
Can you?
obviously.
That's got to be some
Courtney
sort
B.
of like
Vance. Mary
Courtney
J.
B. Vance.
Blige.
There you go.
Jimmy O. Yang. George W. Bush.
Okay, well these are not all the. So what we're hearing is in the film business. There's not too many that go by that, so I can help you stand out. But we do say Courtney B. Vance. We do say Samuel L. Jackson,
We just say Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown. Yeah,
George R. R. Martin.
Drew. So you'd have
John
to get
M. Chu.
introduced. How do they
Although a lot
introduce
of people say
themselves though?
John Chu. A lot of people don't say the M. They just say John Chu.
That's true.
But he does go by John M. Chu.
Do they announce themselves in their like when they're saying, "Oh, hey everyone, I'm Sterling K. Brown"? Like, do they say that, or do they just go, "Oh, I'm Sterling Brown"?
I think some of them do. I know I've heard Samuel L. Jackson introduce himself as just Sam Jackson a lot of times.
Yeah.
John C. Riley. Craig T.
Okay. There you go.
Nelson. There's quite a few.
That works. That works. So yeah, there's many precedents set. So
William H. Macy.
there you go. Now I want to hear, yeah, like in interviews, like on late night and everything. Do they announce
Reggie
them as here's
Cathy.
William H. Macy?
Lee J. Cobb. They're all
Yeah,
guys. The only one I saw that was a woman was Mary J. Blige.
I did see that. Yeah.
A lot of dudes like the middle initial. Not a lot of women.
Hmm.
Wonder what that's about.
Women go by the like single name though more. They go
George C. Scott, of course.
anonymously. Zendaya, Beyonce,
What if I was just Dylan?
Lala. Yeah, again, I don't think you gotta have a little bit more of a unique name to go by a single name.
No, I think I
Drake.
could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like see, he went by fucking Drake. Now when you say the name Drake, you think of him.
that is.
Michael C. Hall
It's true.
from Dexter.
But yeah,
There's plenty who have middle initials.
all right.
Yeah, I think I could get away with it.
I think so too. I
It's
think
up for
we've learned a lot
contention.
today.
Yeah. Dill Johnson doesn't work. The Fall Guy. Did we ever say our rating for the Fall Guy? We
Oh,
didn't.
dude,
How many stunt doubles out of 5 do you rate the Fall Guy? Let's
how
get
did we
back to
get
that.
that far off of topic? What the
We were
heck?
talking about Matthew McConaughey in the Fall Guy,
I don't
and that
think
just
it was that
I
got
think
us
we
there.
spiraled off because of Matthew
All right,
McConaughey.
all right, all right.
All right, all right, all
So,
right.
well, it
Let's
was
bring it on
Emily
back.
Blunt, Ryan Gosling. Yeah, it was somewhere around that. We were like Ryan Gosling
Oh,
ended
it
up
was
better.
Gosling breaking his back like Emma
Oh,
Stone, and you said Emily Stone, and then we started talking about names. That's what it was.
yeah, crazy diversion there.
I tried to
See it?
scapegoat Matthew McConaughey. My bad.
I know. How dare you?
How dare I?
I think you could go by whoever. If a man were to go anonymously, they could go. They could do Murph. I think that's a good name, even though Murph was a girl in that movie. But
Don't let me leave, Murph.
come on, Murph.
Come on,
Don't let me
Murph.
leave.
Don't let me
No,
leave.
no, no, no. Cannot wait, dude. The Interstellar. We might need to make it a whole like Christopher Nolan director analysis, but dude, that Interstellar episode later this year, 10th
Yeah.
anniversary,
70
IMAX.
millimeter.
That's gonna hit. It's gonna
Oh,
hit
yeah.
so good.
It's going to be awesome.
Um, how many stunt doubles out of 5 are you giving this one, Dylan?
I'm going to give it 3.5.
I will concur, giving it a 3.5 as well. It's a good
Good boy.
time. It's a good, enjoyable summer movie.
It's
I think
fun.
more people should go out and see it. It's a shame that it didn't get as much money as they think it should. It's just a nice popcorn movie. Have fun.
Yeah, go watch it. Honestly, it's a good movie. You would have you. I guarantee you will find some way to have a good time watching this movie. Whether you like
Absolutely.
the romance, you like the action, you'll find a way.
Exactly.
Ryan Gosling's in there, and Ryan Gosling's amazing,
Something
and
for
Emily
everyone.
Blunt's amazing.
She is amazing. Yes.
Winston Duke is
So good.
amazing. Hannah Waddingham is amazing. Aaron Taylor Johnson's amazing. They're all amazing. Great
Absolutely.
cast. Great cast indeed. Anyway, that's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars, whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.